Well, hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to Science with YouBored. As you know, for the past month, I've been doing the sugar-free diet or lifestyle, whichever way you want to call it. And through the journey, I have been using some sugar substitute products, not necessarily the actual sugar substitutes themselves, but products that have them in them. So I guess you could call them diet products. So, for example, the Coke that I've been having, which is sugar and caffeine free, that has sugar substitute. I believe it has stevia in it and possibly might have xylitol as well. Should have double checked that, but I haven't. The brownies I made, basically all of the chocolate or sweet substitute products that I've been trying over the last month to get me through have had some form of substitution in there. Some of them are chemical substitutes, some of them are what they call natural. It's an interesting thing though, natural. I mean, you can argue that everything's natural and it's just, a chemical reaction that creates other things, but I think one of these products that I'm going to look at today is kind of under that banner, but we'll wait and see. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have a look at the background of a couple of these because they are in a lot of these products and there is a little bit of darkness associated with them. I know some people think that they can cause diseases and different stuff like that. But I have done some research and gotten to sort of the bottom. But I guess I'll explain. It's kind of a little bit of a grey area. So start with stevia. This is stevia liquid concentrate. So basically they've taken stevia and just gone and made this sucker. Stevia in general is 200 times sweeter than sugar. So this is, a bottle of sweet, really sweet stuff. To show how sweet, just a little drop, I shall put on my finger. Yeah, that's really sweet. That's really sweet. Yeah. So one thing about stevia, taste-wise, it does have a little bit of a aniseedy aftertaste, a little licoricey. It's not as much as I was expecting. That's so sweet. But it's there. It's there. So just, if you're gonna cook with stevia, just be mindful of it, that if you do put some in, you're gonna have some sort of a licoricey undertone, which, for a lot of people that's good if you love licorice. I'm not a big fan of licorice, but as I said, I'm not getting a lot from there, so it is interesting. So anyway, with stevia, when you look at the back of products, you'll see stevia glycosides, I should say. That's your stevia. So that's basically a process that they put stevia through, and then they add it to whatever products to add the sweetness and that sort of thing. So with stevia, the recommended daily intake, or maximum daily intake, best you could say, is 4 milligrams per kilogram, which equals 1.8 milligrams per pound, give or take. So you can extrapolate that out to depending on your body size. So it's not a great deal. It's, teaspoon or something like that. But remembering this is 200 times sweeter. I mean, this is concentrate, so it's sweeter still. 200 times sweeter than sugar. That's insane, really. So from what research has been done, it's pretty good for people with diabetes. It's because it's a sugar substitute. It can help with sort of insulin, that's blood sugar, that sort of thing. But do definitely have a chat to your doctor because there are different varieties of diabetes. So you don't want to just go out and go gung ho and go, oh my God, I've got this. This is fantastic. Check doctors. If you're pregnant, probably stay away from it. And I'd actually stay away from all artificial sweeteners just to be sure because they just don't have enough research. And until they know, it's best to, especially in that state when you are pregnant, you've got to be, kid gloves. And on that segue, kids. So it's safe for kids, but again, in moderation. Don't just go, shoving it into everything and sweetening it up and thinking they're going to eat their broccoli if you, put a couple of drops on that. Like sugar, a little bit goes a long way. So just, be careful of what you give them anyway. In terms of sort of negative effects that I have been able to see, they believe that it can alter the good gut bacteria. So, which kind of makes sense because stevia and a lot of natural sweeteners or unnatural sweeteners, as the case may be, they don't they're not absorbed like sugar. So a lot of it is sort of remained from the system and then it's sort of flushed out as is. I think it's around about 60% is absorbed and 40% just sort of goes through the system. So because of that, it also can go through a fermentation process when it gets down further into the intestines, which can give you a bit of gas. And that's the same with xylitol and the other one, erythritol, that we're going to be, well, I'm not going to be looking at today, I'm going to be talking about. So, you know, if you don't want to be gassy, again, probably stay away from these. I haven't noticed too much. I haven't noticed any bloating any more than I had before anyway. I do eat, you know, some other vegetables and things that tend to get you gassy and bloated. They have seen that it can increase appetites. I have not seen that at all. In fact, I've seen it the other way around. I have seen my appetite decrease. So, you know, take that particular bit of research for what it's worth, but it has shown that in some cases, more cases than not, I should say, that they have studied, it does increase appetite. And it does, as I mentioned, it does alter blood sugar and it can even alter your blood pressure. So again, if you have blood pressure problems, check your doctor before you get stuck into this, because we don't want to, you know, do any damage to the good that the pills you're on might be having or anything like that. So that's stevia. Oh, the other thing, which I found very interesting, is they have been doing some tests on cancer, as in, by the sounds, stevia is actually toxic to some cancer cells, which I think is pretty exciting. I don't know how far they are along in this research or just how applicable it is to treatments, but you know, anything that can be brought out in terms of, you know, getting rid of cancer is a great thing. So you know, maybe watch the science news on that one and see whether they have any developments. So the next one I've got here today is xylitol. Boop. Xylitol. I have it in this plastic bag, which is again inside a brown bag, or a brown bag inside a plastic bag, I should say, for one very good reason. I have a dog that you might be able to hear in the background. She is trying to jump up on a couch. She's a Dachshund cross Maltese, so she's a long furry thing. She finds it hard to jump. Anyway, dogs, this is toxic for dogs, xylitol. So keep it away. If you have dogs, you know, keep it sealed up, put it in a jar, you know, make sure any product you have, don't feed your dogs. So if you have leftovers, in the bin, not on the floor for your dogs. It can make them very sick. So this one I got in powdered form. You can find it, you know, at your health food shops and everything, in the drums if you're lucky enough. I did. So again, this is relatively sweet. It's not like this one though. I mean, this one's insane. The good part about this though is it's 40% less calories and sugar. This one's 0 calories though. So I mean, stevia kind of wins in that aspect. It is quite sweet, so it is sweeter than sugar. I'll just have a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that's quite sweet. It's not bad. It's kind of a weird taste. If I could describe it, I would say it's like sugar, but not sugar. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to help or not, but yeah. It's kind of, for me, it almost tastes a little bit sour compared to sugar, which, yeah, it's almost a citrus sugar. Kind of weird. But anyway, so xylitol, as I said, 40% less calories and sugar, so it is good. Obviously, it's a good substitute if you're not into the licoricey thing. It's not a big thing, but if you're not into it, then possibly xylitol. It does not raise your blood sugar or change your insulin levels, or raise your insulin levels, which again, great, you know, for people with diabetes or those sort of issues. Other than that, I mean, xylitol you do see in a lot of products, not as much as stevia, but you do see it quite often, and it's usually mixed in with other things, which actually brings me on to the other product, which I don't have an example of. And the reason is it's a lot harder to find. I did look online, and that you can get some, so I will actually order some in and see what it's like, so I might do a show about that later. But, so erythritol, or erythritol, I think it is, erythritol, always difficult, those chemical ones. So it has 6% of the calories of sugar. So you had 40% for xylitol, and 6% for erythritol. And this one, of course, is 0 calories, which is just awesome. So, I mean, stevia wins on that aspect, but the big thing that I see about erythritol is that it tastes like sugar. I mean, I haven't tried it. I'm going on other people's words. But I think that's pretty big. I mean, if you can find a sugar substitute that basically tastes like sugar and is ridiculously, well, not ridiculously, but really healthy for you, I think that's fantastic. So I'm definitely going to try to find some of that. The reason it's harder to find it is a lot harder to refine. So the process, it's a fermentation process. Both xylitol and erythritol are sugar alcohols. I know that sounds a bit weird, but they're derived from, xylitol's derived from corn and birchwood. Erythritol, I'm not too sure, it's more of a chemical. So it's, I mean, that sort of waves a red flag for me. But from what I understand, from what I've read on health pages and everything online, it seems to be pretty good. Like, I can't see any downsides. They do say, again, it can alter your gut bacteria, your good gut bacteria, if you have too much. But that's only if you have too much. And by the sounds, you need to eat a lot, like a lot of erythritol for it to really stuff you up. And it's not stuff you up, it's just make you a bit, queasy in the crook. So if you eat it normally and don't go nuts, I think it's probably the winner out of all of them for me. And I believe when I try it, and if it tastes like sugar, I think this will be the go. So I think that's pretty good. They have said though that you can see weight gain again, which they did say about xylitol. Sorry, the reason I said Trevia is that erythritol is one of the major components of Trevia. So if you've heard of Trevia sweetener, which is a combined thing, I think it's got Stevia in it as well, but Trevia does have erythritol in it, which makes Trevia a pretty good option in terms of sweetening. So that's kind of it for the nitty-gritty. There are some good options out there, and from what I gather, I mean, I know my partner, for example, when I sort of started this and said that I was going to be having some sugar substitute, she was like, "Oh, be careful with that. You can get some stuff from that." And I was like a bit dubious about it because, I mean, Stevia in particular, it's been around for ages as a substitute. So I thought, well, if it's really bad, why would they be offering it? And there's really no fixed evidence that it causes anything really, really bad. I mean, just a bit of bad gut bacteria if you have too much, but if you just have a little bit here and there, it seems to be good to go. So for me, it's all systems go, green flag. Get into it. If you're giving up sugar, have these ones, give a tracker these ones. Or if you're just trying to get a bit healthier, maybe use these as a substitute. As I said, xylitol and erythritol, for me, win on the taste side of the fence. Stevia seems to win on the, no calories and that sort of thing. So if you're really going hardcore, Stevia's the way to go. If you do want a bit of flavour in your diet, then probably the other two. All right, that's it. Tomorrow, big show, 1 month down. We'll see how we go. See if I can make that last night. See you tomorrow.